Good morning, angels. It's Warwick here from RetroQTV. How have you been? Now, look, I know it has been a minute since my last review, but look, life. What are you going to do about it? Anyway, sit tight. We are going to dive deep into Charlie's Angels Season 1, Episode 7, To Kill an Angel. Sit tight. I am going to be right back. Now, we're at the Townsend Agency with Bree and Jill wrapping up a case that we don't know anything about. And that is really unusual because we rarely, learn about a case that we haven't been involved in as a viewer. And it's nice to see that the girls have a life outside of what we're about to watch. Now, do you know what Jill's had? It. Officially. She tells Charlie, no more guns and knives, please. And Sabrina chimes in that she's beginning to feel like an endangered species. So all I can say, ladies, is there had better be a big fat bonus waiting for you come performance review time.
The girls were superb.
At great personal risk, Charlie.
Yeah, how about lightening up on us on the next case, Charlie? I mean, we've had enough of the guns and knives bit for a while.
I think you're overreacting, ladies. Now, after all, who'd want to kill an angel?
Hey, it's no joke, Charlie. I'm beginning to feel like we're an endangered species.
So Kelly's missing in action and on a mystery date, and the angels joke that this might be the one that sweeps her off her feet. Bosley wonders aloud if he should put an ad in the paper, Angel Wanted, which would be kind of funny if it wasn't true, you know what I mean, with that revolving door of angels that was to follow in future seasons.
Maybe the next sound we'll hear will be wedding bells.
Could be. Kelly said he's just the kind of guy she always wanted to meet.
Charlie, do you think we ought to start running an ad? Angel Wanted.
So we cut to the Pacific Sanitarium where Kelly's mystery date, it turns out, is with a young boy, Skip, and they decide to, have some fun at the amusement park where Kelly tells him a very sweet story about a princess who was afraid of the dark and in some eternal sleep, and the prince that, comes to save her.
A bouquet of fresh yellow sunshine flowers, a necklace of seaweed from the great ocean, a seashell with the sounds of the ages in it, and what the princess wanted most? A golden wedding band.
Some detective, they have been at that park 5 minutes and Kelly's already lost Skip. What's more is nobody bats an eyelid with that young kid wandering around the park all by himself. These are the days long before helicopter parents. Now, if you're old enough to remember the 70s, what were your parents like? My mum used to tell my brother and I to get out of the house and play and don't come back until dark. Can you imagine that happening now? They were good times though. We had fun. Skip bumps into some goons who drop their gun and give Skip a menacing glare before wandering off. Now, beady-eyed Skip grabs the gun and starts playing with it, and before the goons have a chance to swipe it back, Kelly rocks up, so they decide to scoot. Now, Kelly tries to coax the gun from Skip, but she's not the boss of him, okay? So he pulls the trigger and Kelly takes a bullet to the head. Now, Bree wasn't kidding about being an endangered species, but they mean for us to believe this was by accident. But look at this little... He looks her square in the eye and pulls that deliberately and in slow motion. Skip bails, leaving Kelly for dead. So look, so far I don't like this kid. They want him to come across like Orphan Annie, but he's a little bit more like Chucky at this point. Anyway, Kelly is rushed by ambulance to the hospital with the angels by her side. And while Kelly is whisked into the operating room, they wonder, well, what the f*** happened to her date? Where was he and how did this all happen?
Bosley's with the police. They don't know anything yet.
It happened at an amusement park?
Their date. I guess that's where they went.
Yeah, well then where the hell was he when she got shot?
Is that the outfit that Sabrina was wearing from the previous episode, the killing kind? I know you heard him, Bree, but same outfit 2 episodes in a row? I think that wardrobe mistress made a little boo-boo. Anyway, Bosley rocks up and tells the angels that there was a murder in the amusement park. Cut to body bag and the angels loitering, waiting to ask the detective some questions. No answers about our John Doe, but they do learn from a witness it was Skip who tried to blow Kelly's brains out. So the trail leads to a sanitarium where the angels discover Kelly is part of a volunteer program that helps autistic children, and she's been spending a little extra time with Skip. So, thanks for nothing, kid. Now, this is a really sweet glimpse into the world of Kelly Garrett, something so private and personal that even her close girlfriends don't know anything about this side of her life. Suddenly, Kelly Garrett got a whole lot more interesting and a whole lot more complicated. This is the first, but certainly not the last time we learn that Kelly has a soft spot for children, and it reveals her more nurturing side, which I really, really like. But the most notable of this is season 4 episode Angel's Child, which deals with the issues of domestic child abuse, which is a great episode to watch on very important topics, and Jaclyn Smith handles the topic very well, and it was very sensitively written. I really enjoyed that episode. Now, Jill learned from the sanitarium that Skip suffers from mood swings and violent outbursts, so not so great that he's now roaming the streets with a gun. The Angels agree that they need to find him and fast, so they meet the doctor at the sanitarium who fills us in on Skip's troubled past, including the fact that he was dumped at a shopping mall at age 6. Poor kid. Okay, look, I'm getting a smidge more sympathetic. Dr. Duncan asked if Skip might be returning to the scene of the trauma. I mean, no idea where she says that or why she says that, completely out of left field, other than to move the storyline along, with a sledgehammer.
Would Skip remember back that far? I mean, is it possible that he could remember anything about where he came from before he was abandoned?
Well, I'm not sure. But if he does, it's quite possible that he might return to it.
Oh, maybe she's moonlighting as a clinical psychologist. But anyway, clearly the scene is now set for Skip to go on a quest to find his mother. So Skip heads to Giovanni's Bar and Grill, but hangs around the back instead of walking through the front door. I mean, maybe his mama was a waitress. Anyway, the door's locked, but all is not lost. Skip makes friends with a cute little kitty. Again, sledgehammer, we get it. The kid has feelings. He's not all bad. He's going to learn some life lessons by taking care of that helpless little stray kitten. Okay. Tug those heartstrings. Now, back in the hospital, we learn Kelly is going to be okay. Whew. Remarkable recovery. The way she was wheeled in and the gloomy forecast by the doctor made me think she'd be in a coma or something. But nope, she barely has a scratch. Did they take out shrapnel? Did they have to do neurosurgery? I mean, what happened? Anyway, Kelly fills him in on what happened. Well, with Skip anyway, not in the surgery. And we learn that the victim was a small-time crook called Sam Howard. The girls theorise that Skip probably found the gun after the murder and may even be able to identify the killers, which means he is in hot water and the Angels better find him before the goons do. Cut to, said goons hold up in a cheap motel where they decide the only way to avoid a one-way ticket to San Quentin is to get rid of Skip and Kelly. Now, meanwhile, the cleaner leaves the back door open conveniently of Giovanni's, so Skip spots his chance to break in. He swipes a bouquet of flowers, and now we see Kelly's fairy tale has become an allegory. Skip is now the dashing prince on his quest to wake the sleeping princess. Now, Jill and Bree track down the printer of the time card on which Skip's mother left instructions for her abandoned son. Feed when hungry was all about all it said. They want to know which companies he printed them for, and he says he might be able to jog his memory if the girls would consider posing for his soon-to-be-launched girly magazine. Not quite as classy as Penthouse or Playboy, but hey, the more you take off, the more money you get.
The less you wear, the more you get.
Let me get this straight. We take our clothes off, and you give us the information we want, right?
Is it a deal?
Just a second. We'll talk it over. Just 1 minute. What's the penalty for pornographic propositioning?
Gee, I don't know. That depends on if he's a first-time offender.
Let's hit him with a 602.
A 602?
Right.
Oh, that's a little heavy.
Hey, you two police women?
You want to see our badge?
Hey, no, it's all right. I was just kidding about that other stuff.
Oh, it was a joke.
Yeah. Hey, I still service that account, only they use a different style card. Giovanni's, a bar and grill over on 7th.
Thank you, Mr. Galloway. It's citizens like you that make our job a lot easier.
Yeah, I still think we should have busted him.
That was so fun. I love that bad cop, good cop routine with Jill wanting to throw the book at him. Anyway, they get the info they came for and it's off to Giovanni's, but we're only 20 minutes into the episode, so they're going to be too late. So, Giovanni of the Bar and Grill fame opens up the restaurant where Skip and his kitty spent the night. Skip makes a run for it, bumming a ride with a girl heading to the beach before Giovanni can catch him. I mean, cute though. She's wearing a Starsky and Hutch t-shirt, which is another Aaron Spelling show. But, a 9-year-old hitchhiking? I mean, what happened to stranger danger? Oh, the 70s. Gotta love them. Now, the Angels are hot on his heels, though, and as Giovanni fills them in on what happened, Jill lets us know she's down with the kids because she knows where all the hotspots are for surfing. So 10 up, we head off to Zuma Beach, and Giovanni promises to go through the records and look for previous employees with kids, and will call if he finds anything. All right, now, let's talk this out. Why would Skip, who was 6 at the time, know that his mum worked at Giovanni's? I mean, it's not creche. Surely she wasn't dragging him to work, night and day. And if she did, then surely the owner would remember that waitress that was always dragging her kid to the restaurant. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, at the beach, Skip is on his quest and collects seaweed and seashells with the sounds of the ages in it for his sleeping princess. But the fairy tale turns to a nightmare when he has flashbacks of the accident. The one where he blew Kelly's brains out. Clever little cut, though, to the headline story of missing boy as said missing boy runs past. Uh-oh, looks like those killers can read too, and while nobody knows where Skip is, they sure do know where Kelly is, recuperating in the County General Hospital. They briefly consider bailing on their double homicide plans, but, they're professionals and they don't leave loose ends, see? So they're going to finish what they started. Now, Boz drops off Kelly's makeup bag, which kind of looks like a Gucci. The lady sure has great taste. And then a call from Sabrina catches everybody up, and Kelly figures out Skip is collecting items from her story, Presents from the Prince, which means she should be able to predict where he'll go next. Yet Bosley doesn't ask her a thing about the story, just tells her, she needs a sedative and walks out. I mean, that makes no sense. Literally, exit boss, enter killer, who tells Kelly he's Skip's dad. Meanwhile, back to Skip, who is on the beach and runs into a beach house and his mother. Turns out his mama lives in a fabulous house on the beach, which I don't know, even in 1976, surely that was prime real estate. Don't know how she could afford that, as a waitress at a cocktail bar. Anyway, the mother and son reunion was just a little bit too easy. I'm just not buying it. Now, maybe if she'd run across him by accident, it'd be easier to swallow. But a then 6, now 9-year-old who basically knew where his mum worked and lived all along and never said a word to the police or to the sanitarium and only now decides to get reunited? No. I ain't buying what they're selling. So the killer spins some yarn to Kelly about returning from service and find out his mother dumped Skip and he's been searching for him ever since, bring out the violins. But he is asking all the questions that Bosley should have, like, where do you think Skip is headed? But before Kelly can answer, the nurse barges in and insists she takes that sedative on doctor's orders. Now we're back at the beach house and Skip/Bobby's mum is having a guilt trip and a meltdown at the shameful way that she abandoned her son. And so she should. She did it just to save her marriage, and her new boyfriend is looking at her like, what the actual f***? She claims that she tried to find him, but I call bullshit. I mean, like, you go to the cops and you say, hey, listen, I dumped my kid at a shopping mall a few years back. Do you think you could help me find him? I'm sure they'd be delighted to help lock you up. Anyway, Bobby has had enough of his mum's bullshit and swipes her wedding ring and is on his way. Kelly is still being grilled by the killer / Bobby's fake dad. I tell you, these goons make better detectives than the Angels. I think you might want to get them on the payroll, Charlie. Then we get another expositional phone call to hurry things along. This time it's from Jill, though, and she gets Kelly all up to speed, including the fact that Skip's name is Bobby Francis. She realizes that the killer introduced himself as Peter Evans, but not before she blabbed and told him that Skip was on his way to the amusement park, something that Bosley could have learned hours ago if he'd have bothered to ask. Now, our girl does not want to jump to conclusions, so she calls information to find a number for Skip's mum to fact-check the Skip's fake dad story. Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, turns out Skip/Bobby's father died in a plane crash 8 months ago, so Kelly, you have royally screwed this one up. I'll forgive you, though, nearly dying and all, and sedatives and recuperation, you ain't right, girl. Anyway, the killers rock up to the empty amusement park where Skip has been sleeping. Again, continuity looks a bit off to me. Kelly made the call during daylight to Skip's mum, so presumably this is now the next day? Has she not had a chance to call the Angels or the police? Why have the killers been able to beat the Angels to the amusement park? Why has Kelly turned up solo in a cab? Is she not screwed from the sedative that she took, which was just now or yesterday? I don't know. The timeline is all over the place. All right, yeah, so she is from the sedative, so timeline is screwed. I shall hope that cab driver follows orders and calls Bosley to let him know where she is at. All right, now the killers spot Skip as Kelly arrives at the merry-go-round, and then immediately here come the troops, the cops and the Angels. So if Kelly knew Skip was headed to the merry-go-round, and she's been here before, so she knows the place, presumably she went there straight from the entrance, which would have taken, 5 minutes? I mean, this is not Disney World. So between being dropped off at the entrance, the cab driver making the call, and the Angels and the police arriving, we are talking minutes. I mean, continuity makes 0 sense. Anyway, Kelly goes a few rounds with the killers, but with no gun and doped up on sedatives, she ain't going to get far. So both Skip and Kelly get off easy with a mild concussion, and the killers are interrupted by the arrival of the Angels, so they split before they can do any more damage. Jill chases them down in her Cobra in this cool action sequence. One of them gets nabbed by the cops, and the other makes a run for it and decides to hide in the rotor-ride to reload his gun. Big mistake. Jill locks him in and turns it on, and the centrifugal force, you know what I mean, pins him to the wall while the girl's stunt doubles look on. I mean, why do you need a stunt double to climb some stairs? I wonder if the girls were even there. Anyway, fun if pointless way to end the scene. I mean, he was already locked in and the cops are already there. All's well that ends well. Bobby's reunited with his now declared fit mother, but I sure hope community services is keeping a close eye on her. I mean, she dumped him once when he came between her and her husband, and she has got a fit new stepdaddy on the scene. So, Bobby/Skip, I wouldn't get too comfy if I was you. I see you. Anyway, I hope it works out for Bobby's sake, and we wrap up with a fun little jab at Kelly's dating history, the kind of joke that, only BFFs can make.
He is the nicest man you ever dated.
And that's a wrap. What did you all think? For me, it was like a big old yawn. I mean, so boring. It was a real snooze. I really didn't care less about that little shit. I mean, the storyline was milked for sympathy, but it really felt flat. We just didn't get to know him well enough. And it looked like he shot Kelly on purpose. Am I wrong? And then he flees the scene of the crime. I mean, it would be better if she was shot by accident and maybe if Skip had stuck around but then managed to slip away when he learned Kelly was in a coma to find things to wake her up, or was worried about what he overheard with the cops or something. I don't know. Maybe I'd be more sympathetic then. Skip's reunion with his mother was just way too easy. I mean, I'm sorry. I just didn't buy it. And surely somebody who abandoned their kid would not be so easily given custody. I mean, visitation rights, maybe. And then the dramatic scenes fell flat. I mean, quite honestly, only Kate Jackson rose to the occasion with her hospital meltdown. Farrah and Jaclyn's inexperience with drama really showed, and I think they still had a long way to go as actresses before they'd be able to show the range for the emotions that were demanded of them here. About the only scene I enjoyed was Sabrina and Jill's shakedown of the printer moonlighting as a pornographer. Some trivia though, in the Charlie's Angels casebook, Jaclyn Smith says that the lead in this episode was originally intended for Farrah, but ultimately given to her because Kelly was more maternal. Apparently the switch caused some friction, and Jaclyn said that Farrah didn't understand that. And it's not that they were jealous of each other, but all they wanted was, something interesting to do. By the way, do you like this? Do you like this t-shirt? It's a Warhol-inspired print of all 6 angels, which I designed myself, and you can grab it over at my Redbubble store, bit.ly/RetroQTV. You can order it on all sorts of stuff like masks, t-shirts, prints, and a whole lot more. So let me know what you thought of To Kill an Angel. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Somewhere in between. Comment below. I would love to get your take on this episode, on Charlie's Angels, on season 1, and anything else you care to talk about. And if you want to continue the conversation, follow me on Instagram at RetroQTV, where I post photos from each episode. Although, I'm a little behind, be warned, but I promise I will catch up. So next time we see each other, it'll be for Lady Killer, one of my favorite episodes, at least as far as I recall. So I might do a reaction video for that one. We'll see. So until then, bye angels.